Hey, our guest today is Jean-Philippe Graff, who runs a business that I think is just absolutely fascinating. Jean-Philippe's business is called JP Linguistics, and they teach people foreign languages, and they do translations, and they are here in New York in a city where about 100 languages are spoken, which I guess means that's about 100 different submarkets for you, exactly, even though you're not in all of them. Tell us about your business and how it's going.
So JP Linguistics is a language company that is aimed at bridging the gap between two different cultures, usually an English-speaking culture with another one. Mm-hmm. And we do it in different ways by instructing people, so language lessons, private lessons, or group classes. We also go into corporations and provide language instruction for the employees. And we obviously also do translations and sometimes interpretation if the person requests an interpreter for somebody that really needs it.
Live interpreting, like
yes.
Sometimes at the big conventions at the Javits.
Sometimes, yes,
right.
Exactly. Or like sometimes they're just accompanying people that are here to meet other individuals, and they do speak English, but they want to have someone that is there to interpret from their language into English or vice versa. Right. So the business is really great, to be honest. It's been open since 2013, and we have seen exponential growth since the very beginning. And it's very exciting because the more growth we have, the more instructors we have, and the more students we have, and it's very positive for everyone, really.
Wow, that's great. So you're hiring and you're expanding.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And are most of your instructors freelancers who have other jobs? Tell us about how the business works.
So we only hire native instructors. So most of the time they're expats from the country that we teach the language of, and they start as a freelancer because so they need to be legally allowed to work in the United States, and we start them as a freelancer because they have scheduling conflicts that we can't really, because we can't impose them a certain schedule. So they start as a freelancer, and if it works that we can have a more steady schedule, then they become employees.
An employee, mm-hmm. Full-time employee. Mm-hmm. And is that to say that all of your instructors are second language English speakers?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Most of them are second language, but sometimes they're bilingual. It's mostly the case for Spanish speakers that are either heritage speakers of Spanish or native speakers of Spanish with second language of English.
How many languages do you speak?
So I know 5. Yeah. I speak really 3. Which is French, English, and Spanish. And I've also studied Tagalog, which is a language of the Philippines, and German. The German side is it's a little harder because I learned when I was very young. It was forced onto me, and I didn't see even though I'm from a city close to Germany, I didn't see really the relevance, and I had enough hardship with French, so German was just adding onto it.
Isn't that interesting? Now, where is most of the demand in your business coming from? Which part of the business?
So really, the language instruction is very important.
One-on-one or class?
So one-on-one is very big. It's the private lessons are really the biggest margin that we get. The group classes was actually added after private instruction because there was a demand for it, and we started to offer it, and it works very well. Within these group classes, in terms of languages, French is really the #1 that we teach nowadays.
I thought you would say Spanish. So why French?
So there's something interesting in New York City, especially, is that French is kind of a language of the elite. So a lot of people actually want to learn French for different things, really. They want to travel. That's the #1. They might need it for business. With the growth of Africa, actually, a lot of business is starting to happen in Africa, which brings a lot of French in it. So a lot of people are learning French for that reason, or significant others that they have, and they want to learn the language.
How long would it take for you to get a student to be conversant in French to go to France and live for a month this summer?
So it's It's a question that we get often, and it really depends because a lot of people have different ideas of what being conversant mean. Right. So if you want to go live in France and you just want to go do your day-to-day activities, which is just going to get your bread and going grocery shopping and, you know, basic interaction with people, it could take you up to maybe, I would say, maybe 60 hours of group instruction.
So that would be 2 hours a night, 30 days.
Yes. So yes, exactly. So if you do the day straight in a row, but if you we offer 20-hour group classes, and they meet either once a week or twice a week, for 5 or 10 weeks. So. So the way we structure our instruction, actually,
twice a week for 5 or 10 weeks.
Yes.
That's a lot, but doable if you're serious about it.
Exactly. And you usually are serious because if you want to live in France for a month, you're going to need it.
Right.
It's not something that you can live without. Especially Paris, you might be able to, but other cities you can't. People will force you to speak French.
There used to be, and there still are, some big name mass market language schools. I think of a couple that I never hear mentioned anymore, and then there are a few new ones that advertise. What's going on? What is the mega trend here, and why have some of these early players fallen away from what you know?
So I think what has happened is that we have entered into a global market. And it comes with the social media. Now there's no borders anymore in terms of accessing culture, accessing other people's content. So everybody is interested into getting into this global market or social market, if you prefer. I think now we highlight a lot of the activities that you can do culturally, and we emphasize culture a lot. And the old or former language companies that are still relevant today in a way were really betting on the idea that the quantity of people that are going to take the classes, but it actually destroyed the quality of the classes. So they're big names, they have a lot of people coming in, but the quality of the instruction does not always respond to the demand that they actually have.
Is it because it's kind of dictated by rote and
yes, so
it's no fun?
Yeah, it's no fun. So it's really. And that's the feedback that we get from students that come from these areas. And we do have also goals that we implement for our students. I'm not saying we're just free, just do whatever, but we implement that with native instructors that bring not only the language but the culture and make it fun for people.
How do you find customers? Do you advertise? Yes,
so we do advertising on Google AdWords, which is really the main thing for us because people search for language classes constantly, and we also do a more organic advertisement with SEO and search engine optimization, which is done through our blog. So we have a blog in French, Italian, and Spanish, diffusing different topics from the language, so how to say things, to cultural events that we advertise. And we also do actual cultural events within the city that are completely free, where we invite people to share a cultural event. So one example that we have for Spanish is Dia de Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead on November 1st. It's actually over 3 days, but November 1st is when we do it. And we have a big party. We invite everyone to come and enjoy the cultural tradition of making sugar skull and like having drinks honoring the dead, and this is also where we connect with people.
Where do you hold this event? At your office or in a restaurant?
Yeah, so we're part of the WeWork network in New York City, which is, as you know, a really big corporation now, right?
Unbelievable.
And we're part of the first ever WeWork, and they have a really nice first floor lounge where we host these events.
Wow.
So that's also a good way for us because we're part of the WeWork network, which has thousands and thousands of people.
What is a cultural mistake that many Americans make when they go to France? Give us an example of one.
So I think the first one is not to say hello before you ask a question. If you meet someone on the street and you have a question to ask, you have to make sure to say bonjour. If you don't say bonjour, they will stop you and they will not respond to your question because you will be seen as a person that's very rude. Same thing when you shake hands. So we don't actually shake hands. So when you shake hands here, you're kind of like this.
Right.
In France, we actually squeeze your hand. So we
No.
don't shake it like this, we just squeeze it. So that's one of the two things that I think is interesting. And also we always use words. So sometimes American speakers, especially, I was very shocked when I came here. I was asking a question and somebody wanted to say, I don't know, and they just said, and I didn't know what they said, so I made them repeat, and they were not happy I made them repeat, but things like that.
Just give us an example to finish up here. If I came to your class to learn French,
Yes.
And I heard, I heard you tell somebody in English, you're just back from France and it's not as cold as it is here in France. Now, how would I say that in French?
Okay, perfect. So we have to break it down first to make sure that you can visualize what you're saying. So, je reviens
Je reviens
de France.
de France.
Okay.
I'm just back from France.
Exactement. Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Je reviens en France.
Je reviens de France.
De France.
Très bien.
He does it.
Ok, très bien, excellent. Il fait
Il fait
plus chaud
plus chaud
ici.
here.
Ah, pardon. Il fait plus chaud en France
Il fait plus chaud en France
qu'ici.
qu'ici than here.
Exactly.
That's
Perfect.
fun.
Excellent. Yeah, it's just getting you saying things is just exciting because, and that's what we do from the very first class. We have an immersive environment. So we will speak French the whole time and you'll be fine. You will understand, I promise. 50% of English is French. So you'll be fine.
And you go slowly so the student can envision what is being said.
Yes,
And then
we
it becomes
should.
more fun.
Yes, exactly.
I should know, how do I say thank you in French?
Merci.
Of course. Merci,
Merci
JP.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.